Hey guys, it's Thorn, and I wanted to make a video. There is a video series challenge going around on the YouTube Pagan's Facebook page, which I only know about because of YouTube, which is suddenly being inundated with these videos. And I've been really enjoying them. I've subscribed to a bunch of new channels. It's been really exciting. And anyway, I am, of course, not on Facebook, so I don't actually get to see the list. So it's kind of a surprise for me too, which is fun. And there's Oliver. Week 2 is already out, but I'm going to go ahead and do week 1 right now, which is about how you find your path. And of course I've talked about this stuff before, more than once, right? How you found your cat. No, but I've had a lot of new subscribers recently, and I don't think I've talked about this stuff in a while, so here we go. I got into Wicca and witchcraft relatively young, right? It was the late 90s, and that's just what one did. The craft was out. Teen Witch was out. It was a glorious heyday for Wicca and witchcraft, and I was right on that delightful bandwagon from the beginning, which was awesome. Cats. You know, there was a big part of me from the beginning that wanted to be a Gardnerian right away. And I think I attribute a lot of that to my sort of ruthless type A personality, which demands completion. It demands, if I'm going to do a thing, whether it's a sports thing or an academic thing or whatever, I have to do the thing as completely and as thoroughly as possible. It's always been in my personality. That's how I function. It doesn't matter what's at stake. If I can find the oldest and most authentic version of the thing, right, before we problematize those terms, that's what I'm going to do. If I can sign up for a class instead of teaching myself, that's what I'm going to do. If there is some kind of structured learning doohickey I can go through, that's what I'm going to do. It doesn't really matter what the subject is. So that was my approach to Wicca. From the beginning, I wanted something that was really structured, something that was as assuredly, right, the realist form of Wicca I can find. All right, and please hear the scare quotes around these words when I'm saying them, right? But that was my attitude at the time. And of course, in reading the books that I was reading, even from Teen Witch, I mean, Teen Witch talks about Gerald Gardner and Gardnerian craft right away. From reading those first few books, I was like, oh shit, I have to read whatever the hell she was reading, because that's even older and therefore realer. So that's what I did. Of course, growing up and reading more, and obviously you don't have to read very much to realize pretty quickly that Gardnerian Wicca is a tradition for adults. And so there was a waiting period, and I had obviously I had to grow up first. But I knew that eventually I was going to try to, at the very least, find something that was organized, something that was covened. I wasn't interested in being a solitary practitioner in that exclusive sense. So when I was old enough, I began pursuing group work. When I was under 18, a lot of it was open circles and that sort of thing. And then when I got to college, it was the student group and other things that were sort of around our community. I ended up joining a Blue Star Coven, or a Blue Star Grove, rather, when I was in college, and had some good experiences there with group work. And anyway, I kept growing up and time went on, and I had the opportunity to study with a Gardnerian group. And it's funny, if you go all the way back to my very first video, that was actually around the time that I was first beginning to get involved in this particular path. I'd been some variation on witch for a decade plus at that point, but that was really the beginning of my work as a Gardnerian. And it was just a question of me finally feeling like I was ready, and I spent a lot of time online trying to track down a group, and thankfully it didn't take very long. I sort of was in the right place at the right time, and I got hooked up with a fantastic group right away, and the rest was sort of history. So that is how all of that happened. And in the meantime, I've studied a lot of other things, and I've practiced different kinds of witchcraft, and I'm running my own group now, so that brings its own perspective and its own weight. But that's how all that happened. It was a lengthy process with a lot of other paths along the way, right? There was a lot of segueing and a lot of hitting brick walls. It's a complicated process, but this is where I am. It's pretty rad. I found a cat at the end of it. He's pretty rad. I'm wearing my sensible school cardigan because I just got off of work, and this is my non-threatening elementary school work uniform, right? Tricks people into thinking that I am an adult, and not a single person ever asks me about my naked witch cult at work, so must be working. All right, guys, have a good day, and I'll probably see you in like 2 seconds because I'm about to make the second video.